Oh, so the state has hit like this rainy patch of rainy weather. So, excuse me, let's just jump on in. I'm really just feeling like I've been watching a lot of the Golden Girls lately, right? And as a woman who is fast approaching her 50s, I have seen every episode of the Golden Girls at least like 50 times each episode. And let me just say that, and forgive my smoker's cough. I just want to go ahead and let whoever is listening to this know that I am stoned. I mean, everything that I record will be under the influence. All of it. So yeah. The Golden Girls are they're just like, they are squad goals that will never be in real life. And I think that is why so many women gravitate toward the show. I mean, amongst other reasons, of course. The Golden Girls, and so seeing them all, because of course this is not the first role for any of these women. Rue McClanahan, Rue McClanahan, Bea Arthur. Well, let's just go back. So Betty White, who's probably the most widely known amongst today's youth, right? Betty White, I initially saw her in Mary Tyler Moore. She played a very different type of character than she does in the Golden Girls. In the Golden Girls, she's an airhead. Yeah, I feel better saying an airhead, because she's not, stupid. She's just aloof and sometimes can't really read the room. She's probably my I won't say that just yet. Then you have, and of course, also Betty White. She played a different character than her character Rose Nyland in Mama's Family. Who did she play in Mama's Family? I think did she play Ellen? Because I think it was Carol Burnett who played, I can't think of her name right now, but my God. I feel like that's sometimes the kind of kid I was, or my mom's just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Right, so I think she played Ellen. Or did Rue McClanahan play Ellen? Let me Google it instead of sitting here trying to figure this shit out. So anyway, before I get to that, because you guys know I'm easily distracted. I'm distracted like goldfish. Right, so then you had Rue McClanahan, who I believe the first place that I saw, and I could be very wrong, again, I'm stoned. I believe the very first place that I saw her was Mama's Family, that I can remember. Bea Arthur, I actually am familiar with from doing, she had her own series, Maude. And Maude was like, here's the thing about Maude. I could not really get through Maude, and granted, it's been quite some time since I've tried. It's been quite some time since I've tried. For one, Bea Arthur is a lot younger, and she looks a lot different than her Dorothy Petrillo's Zbornak character in The Golden Girls. Looks a lot different. I think she's absolutely gorgeous and the Golden Girls, she was a little bit more, I don't know, kind of like rough around the edges, almost like you know what, she gave me like Roseanne Barr type vibes in that very first episode of Maude that I can, clearly remember. I just remember her being so over the top that it was like she was like sucking the energy out of me, like that. She was just so over the top, and I was just like, and I think that Maude went on for like a few seasons, and how the hell that show survived that long. But I mean, there are a lot of shows where I'm just like, what's that one Tyler Perry show that's just, I'm like, oh my god, like oh my god, Meet the Browns, garbage, trash. That's no offense to Tyler Perry. He's actually had a couple movies that I really enjoy. And then just like credit to him, just like for the amount of work that he puts into his craft. I mean, that alone is insane, even though I'm not the biggest fan. Anyway, so what was I? Oh yeah. So like her character, like she as Maude is just overwhelming. And I think that the reason that I like her so much in the Golden Girls is because she's got the other women there to balance her out, right? So the reason that I say that like their squad goals is because they all very clearly have a position or a role, like a character. But I mean, not character, but like, like they all they're like a well-oiled machine in a way where they play off each other very, very well. And it's almost unbelievable that it's been said from Betty White herself that that B. Arthur was not that fond of her, I believe toward like the later years, because I think that I read that they started off like really strong, and that somewhere along the way it just got to be too much. And I think that they say that one of B. Arthur's gripes about the show was that the roles that the other two had been given were very clearly just roles, like Rose Nyland. She's not that, like Rose Nyland is the idiot, but Betty White's not an idiot. Rue McClanahan is not a slut that we know of. And I think she's been married it doesn't matter how many times she's been married, but I just think she was married the way like Liz Taylor. Like Liz Taylor was married like 48 times. I think Rue McClanahan had a few husbands, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but anyway. So like Rue McClanahan's not the slut, but Blanche Elizabeth Hollingsworth Devereaux, she is a loosey goose, and I think that it was said that Dorothy's character was often joked about for her appearance, which was not something that you could it wasn't something she could take on and off. Like, they're making fun of her, and that was how it was taken. But let me go ahead and let me say this while it's on my mind, because I know it's just gonna like it's trying to jump out of my head now to make room for the marijuana smoke. And see, just like that, I fucking lost. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. But in regards to that, I think it's so ironic. It's so ironic that she felt that way, and like we can't really judge how other people react or feel about certain things when we are not in that same situation ourselves. But I do think that it's really ironic because her looks, quote unquote, and again, I think but I also want to make a point there too, so let me hold off on that. So even though the quote unquote joke was basically like her features, how she looked, of all the men that have come through that house. And let's not act like, I mean, they had hella men come through come through that house. Dorothy Zbornak, her character, Stan Zbornak, not included. Dorothy Zbornak she was entertaining some of the most attractive men. I mean, she really was. Like, I just can't. I'm sorry. It took me the longest time to accept Miles. It just took me so long to accept him, because I'm just like, he was just like, it just felt like, I don't know, like watching his relationship, watching his interaction with Rose, I was just like, she can do so much better. And it wasn't even him physically, because and I honestly can't think of his name in real life. I'm not gonna, stroke myself out by trying to remember. But the guy who played Miles originally played a different character. I think he played like Arnie. Yeah, I think he played like an Arnie. Not to be confused with Ernie, who was impotent. Who was also a love interest of Rose Nightland. Not to be confused with him. But he ended up playing Arnie. Like, she was afraid to like sleep in the same cabin. They went on some kind of trip, and she didn't want to sleep in the same cabin with him because it would have been the first time since not George. It would have been the first time since God, what is his name? God, it'll come to me. You guys know. Super fans, anyone listening who is familiar with the show, like, they know who I'm talking about. God, what was his name? This is gonna fuck with me. I'm not gonna Google it. So it was Dorothy and Stan, and then it was Blanche and George, and then it was Rose and God, and I just saw the birthday episode where she was sitting there and she's like, oh, my birthday. Charlie. Oh, okay, got it. Charlie. So, and I don't think we've ever seen Charlie. We've seen George. We've seen Stan in his younger years. We've even seen what's his name? Sal. We've even seen Sal, Sophia's husband. But anyway, excluding Stanley Zbornak, Dorothy Zbornak had some fine ass men. She had the most attractive men come through that house. Also though, she had like the best one-liners. Like she, like she had for me personally, I believe that Dorothy had the best one-liners because she was intellectual, she was intelligent, she was well-read, she was a substitute teacher. So, her jokes were a little bit more on the you had to think about it. Whereas Blanche, well, anyway. So another point that I wanted to make though about Dorothy, and why I think that the writers may have made kind of like the quote unquote jokes regarding her appearances, because she looks so much more regal, so much more elegant, so much more, I'm just gonna, she looks way better in the Golden Girls. And I mean, compared to Maude, which is, from my understanding, where a lot of people know her from, even though she's done I believe she's done a lot of plays, and she's done a couple movies, I think. Don't let me speak on that because I haven't seen any of them. But I mean, she's just like, to see her side by side, you're like, whoa. Like, I think she's so beautiful in The Golden Girls. And that's something else that I noticed. And I know I'm getting off track because really the topic was to be like why, but I'm gonna round it out on why they are squad goals that are just totally unachievable in real life. So yeah, so really what I'm feeling like is when you watch them, they go in. They are so brutally honest with one another, and they pull it right back together. I mean, like in real life, a lot of the best of friends, like, and they met like later in old age, like, you know, like they all met after their husbands were deceased and divorced them. That's when they all met. So they were brand new friends. And, you know, it could be the age, you know, that they're older women, that they have seen so many people come and go, that they have experienced so many things that it's just easier to let a lot roll off of their backs, which honestly makes a lot of sense if you're looking at it from like, you know, psychological, sociological, I guess. Dorothy legit calls Blanche a slut every chance she can, but she doesn't use the word slut as, okay, she doesn't use the word slut. That is, so Sophia's just like straight for the jugular, right? Sophia just, this is what it is, right? Dorothy takes a much more, one of my favorite insults that Dorothy ever threw at Blanche was the one about the Army and the Navy and the Marine. And she goes, you know, see the world, sleep with Blanche Devereaux. The Navy is looking for whatever the fuck. And the last one for the Marines is the Marines are looking for the Marines are looking for a few good men who have not slept with Blanche Devereaux. And she was like, oh, what are you implying? Like, that's the shit you gotta think about. Like, damn, like, she just read you. You know, and it's so much easier for Blanche to just respond with trash, Jezebel, you know, like, that's just, you know, because she's not the most quick-witted person. I mean, my God, like, Blanche, what was that when she says, so-and-so is a lesbian? She goes, oh, yeah, isn't Danny Thomas one? And Dorothy's like, not Lebanese, Blanche, lesbian. And it's like, what the fuck? But the show was set in a different time, which makes me wonder, like, I don't know. So, I mean, the reason, right? So, like, just for one, like, you think about all the conflict that has been had. In particular, it seems like the rivalry is mostly between Blanche and Dorothy, because they're kind of like the most even keeled, you know, like what men? I mean, like, Rose is a frustrating character, like, but even knowing that, I was still like, oh my God, you can do so much better than Miles. Why? And maybe Rose was just kind of like, this is the best that I can do. Maybe. Because I think their story, like, ended on them, like, getting engaged to take the prize to, like, Paris. I think that was, like, where their story ended. Yeah, and so with the competition, primarily, or not primarily, but like mostly, if there was going to be competition between any two people, any two women, it was going to be Blanche and Dorothy. Even though Blanche and Sophia had that thing with the guy on the cigar box, Fidel Castro, I think that was his name, Fidel, because he made the joke. Up until that point, I was the most. I think I'm high. So then, right? So, but Blanche and Dorothy. So, so three episodes come to mind in particular, right? The episode where there's the doctor, Clayton, right? And he comes in as Sophia's new doctor. He just moved there. Dorothy sees him first. Blanche happens to come out. He does a double take, sees Blanche, and, Dorothy makes it clear, Blanche, I saw him first. Blanche is like, oh, okay, fine. Even though, I know that he wants me. You saw him first. You can have him. But he ends up putting the moves on Blanche, right? And Dorothy doesn't believe her when she tells, and she's like, oh, this is the da-da-da, right? So that was one. Then the second one, of course, was, I'm thinking of 4 because I'm thinking about the brother, right? So Stan's brother. When Stan's brother comes to visit and he's hooked up with Blanche for a date, but he is not really interested in Blanche and ends up bumping into Dorothy. And then he and Dorothy get caught kissing. Okay, so that was 2, right? Then, and then they both find out, he ain't shit. Then the other one was when Blanche was dating the asshole who Dorothy kept saying, hey, Blanche, you can do better. And Blanche's like, mind your own damn business. And then he eventually puts his hands on Dorothy. Dorothy refused to do something, and so he grabbed her, and then Blanche saw it, and she's like, oh my God, stop that. And right, so that's 3. And then the 4th that I'm thinking about is just when they had that little competition, that little back and forth at the bar. I think the name of that, because it's one of my favorite episodes, the name of that episode is Journey to the Center of Attention. And it's when Blanche pities Dorothy and invites her out to the bar. And Dorothy, initially when she gets there, all the men ignore her and follow Blanche around until Dorothy just so happens to, be asked by the piano player, like, hey, why don't you sing a song? And Dorothy sings and gets all the attention of the men in the bar. And so from that point on, every time they go to the bar, the men are like, hey, Dorothy! And it just pisses Blanche off, right? So think about for any woman, you're living with someone who the next man that you find attractive could be interested in. You guys are living together. Oh shit. When they had the actor, right? The actor who came through, and he ended up hitting on Blanche and Rose and Dorothy, only to find out that they all live together. He's like, wait a minute, you guys all live together? So, just that in itself, right? They can sit there and they can share some of the most personal shit, and no one gets personal about their business the way Blanche Elizabeth Hollingsworth does, or who she was once referenced as Blanche Marie Hollingsworth by the little black lady who was having an affair with Blanche's father. She's like, that's impossible. Daddy was a Republican. Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, to have to always be okay, so yeah. So I was talking about how Blanche, her stories, right? She's just she overshares. People are like, what? She overshares so much so that when it came out that she had never been with a married man, people were in shock. They were like, what? When Dorothy was having that thing with the guy who was technically married, well, he was married, and he was telling her, I'm here for the kids, and this is an awful marriage. It hasn't been a real marriage for years, and, I'm not going to leave my wife because, I'm not young anymore, and all that other bullshit that, old ass men, married men say. And so anyway, I mean, just how open they are with each other, for them to know, right? like, and I would always say that Dorothy was the most reserved when it came to how she handled certain indiscretions. Like, she was just kind of like, like when she met the little guy, who she said, what was his name? Is a love machine. So-and-so. Oh, was his name Arnie? No, his name wasn't Arnie. What was his name? I can't remember. His name may have been Arnie, but I really, it's gonna fuck with me that I can't remember. But yeah, when she was going out with the little guy, and then she was like, Eddie, that was his name, Eddie. Eddie is a love machine. And she came into the house, after discovering it. She's like, oh my God, where's Blanche? Blanche wasn't around. And she was like, oh, okay, Rose, I guess I'll tell you, but don't tell anybody. And then, like, she was just kind of like, a lot of it stayed to herself. When she was, all the times that she got caught fooling around with Stan, and she didn't want her mom to find out, and she tried her best to keep it a secret from Sophia, but Sophia just, like, can't mind her fucking business. But it's all good, because, again, Dorothy entertained some of the most attractive men to have come through. So but I do understand that it was, like, the familiarity, right? Like, you're familiar with your ex-husband, even though Stan just wasn't shit. He just wasn't. I mean, I guess, like, they give the vibe that he at least tried, but that ultimately he wasn't shit. He was just, like, sleeping around all the time, buying cars and shit behind Dorothy's back. And what I'm saying is, for them to be able to reside with someone and to know, and that's the kicker, to live with someone, right? And like, not all their business, but like, how they get down. And like, to still be friends, to be able to go at it and be like, Jezebel, slut, tramp. Oh, Dorothy, I'm so sorry. Oh, Blanche, you were right. I mean, like, there's just, there's legitimate love there. Whereas, like, nobody, like females just are not like that today. I mean, I'm not going to say that they don't exist. I feel like I have to say, there's obviously a portion of women who exist, because you guys know how the internet can be. Hey, I like oranges. What you're saying is you hate grapes? You didn't say anything about bananas. What about apples? I just said I like oranges. So, I mean, yeah, but I'm just feeling like those are squad goals that, like, may have been attainable and achievable, like, in elementary for sure, middle school for sure, high school, maybe not, college for sure, and then it just kind of, but like, in hey, wait a minute, like, hey, is the Golden Girls, like, the original version of Sex and the City? Huh. Let's talk about that.